Hi, this is Phil Shapiro in Tacoma Park, Maryland. I've been reading a really interesting book. I wanted to tell you about it. What's the Future by Tim O'Reilly. This is a book that I found very thoughtful. Tim O'Reilly is one of my favorite philosophers. So he's considered a tech guru, but I think of him as a philosopher because of his ability to think deeply and critically. And also, his wisdom is valuable. He's not one of those pundits that has, his thinking is thinking that's valuable, I find. So, Tim O'Reilly is the founder and CEO of O'Reilly Media, the company that's providing the picks and shovels of learning to the Silicon Valley gold rush for the past 35 years. The company delivers online learning, publishes books, runs conferences. This I scanned from the back cover of the book. Here's some testimonials from Eric Schmidt, the New York Times. Here's some of the questions the book asks. Will increased automation destroy jobs or create new opportunities? What will the company of tomorrow look like? In a world dominated by algorithms, is a world dominated by algorithms to be welcomed or feared? So Tim O'Reilly is generally buoyant or optimistic on many of these things, but he also draws cautions, explains the cautions we need to have. Here's from book testimonial from Wired Magazine, and from the author Eric Brynjolfsson from The Second Machine, the author of the book The Second Machine. So I've grabbed some clips from the book, little quotes. I spent my career, this is from the introduction, I've spent my career as a technology evangelist, book publisher, conference producer, and investor. My company works to identify important innovations. We've tried to sound a warning when a failure to understand how technology is changing the rules for business or society is leading us down the wrong path. So there we have it. There is his wisdom and his analytical and critical abilities. He has a liberal arts degree. Tim O'Reilly does not have an engineering degree. He has a liberal arts degree, a degree in classics, and it shows. His ability to think philosophically and critically, it shows. I like this passage. You can imagine how augmented reality could enable workers to be upskilled. I'm particularly fond of imagining how the model used by Partners in Health could be turbocharged by augmented reality and telepresence. The organization provides free healthcare to people in poverty. So this got me really interested to learn a little bit more about Partners in Health. I went to their website. Here's their mission. Our mission is to provide preferential option for the poor in healthcare. So their mission must be kind of a bit overlapping with UNICEF and Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières. Here's the Partners in Health Twitter. You can follow them, PIH. I recommend that. I like this quote here. I hope to persuade you that understanding the future requires discarding the way you think about the present, giving up ideas that seem natural and even inevitable. So the future is counterintuitive, and we need to be able to figure that out. In what ways is it counterintuitive? We can no longer count on our intuition to be the correct guide, the correct rudder for our thinking. We need to be able to consider the counterintuitive, vigorously consider the counterintuitive. One part about this book I really loved was some of the history. Tim O'Reilly explained some of the history of the 80s and 90s with technology. He's connected with the phrase open source, although he didn't coin that phrase. I like this little passage. Dale Doherty, one of my earliest employees, played a key role in transforming O'Reilly & Associates from a technical writing consulting company into a technology book publishing company. He created our first ebook. And then down below it says, Dale had brought the web to my attention, introducing me to Tim Berners-Lee in the summer of 1992. So Tim Berners-Lee, he invented the web about 1989, And it was only until about 1990 or 91 that people began to understand that this might be a big invention. And Dale Doherty was one of the first people to understand the importance of the web as a new tool for publishing and its transformative power. And then so he explained that to Tim O'Reilly. And then O'Reilly, the publishing company, published this book, The Whole Internet Guide and Catalog by Ed Kroll, which was how I first heard about O'Reilly, the publishing company, and that was a totally astounding, excellent book. I think it sold more than 1 million copies. And this passage made me smile. One of my favorite popular definitions of Moore's Law came in a conversation I had with Reid Hoffman, the founder and chairman of LinkedIn, and Senator Sheldon Whitehorse, I guess, over dinner in San Francisco 7 or 8 years ago. We need to start seeing Moore's Law apply to healthcare, I said. What's Moore's Law? The senator asked. You have to understand, Senator, Reid interjected, that in Washington, you assume that everything costs more and do less. Every year, things cost more and do less. In Silicon Valley, everyone expects our products to cost less, but do more. So that's it. This book is very recommended. It might be interesting for some 11th or 12th grade high school students to read. If you know some students who are thoughtful and interested in the future and love to read, this book is an appropriate book for some high school students. This book could be part of a college course. And please check to see that your public library owns a copy and that your college library or school library owns a copy. I found the book deeply thoughtful, and we need to move towards more thoughtful. That's really not an option. We need more thoughtful. And if we don't have more thoughtful, we're thoughtless, and that can take us into very poor places in the future if we are thoughtless. Here's my book reviews. If you're interested in my other book reviews, I've collected them together at sites.google.com/site, Phil Shapiro Book Reviews. I made the screencast using some free software called Simple Screen Recorder. I have an old laptop, a Lenovo 410. My audio is recorded to my Olympus digital audio recorder, and then I use a Logitech webcam. I'm using GUVC View. That's also free software for my webcam. So I like to use free software because that means somebody else could make the same kind of book reviews without having to spend a ton of money. And that would be exciting if more people made book reviews, because there's too many books for all of us to be reading, right? We want to be able to point the books out to each other that are worth reading and to bring out some of the best passages, bring that attention to each other. You can contact me here. My email is pshapiro@his.com. My Twitter is Phil Shapiro, and I have a YouTube channel. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can also support me on Patreon. So Patreon's an interesting website where anybody can make small contributions to somebody else. This is what my Patreon website looks like. I love to support other people on Patreon. It's my little way of saying you're on the right path. So this is Phil Shapiro. See you next time.